can always
But
play
it's like
that.
blacks in the priesthood. It's like they said there were a group of it started off like society was moving. Okay,
Right.
prejudice is wrong and
Right.
segregation is wrong and blah
Right.
blah blah. So then there was a group of Mormons who kind of felt like, okay, denying people the priesthood is wrong. So they started praying for a change. And they wouldn't be praying for a change if they didn't think it was wrong.
Right.
You know, people are like, well, it's because we prayed so much and then, you know, there was a revelation.
It was granted.
But
you know.
but we always thought that what was going on was right. But you wouldn't pray for a change if you
didn't think
didn't think there was something
well,
inherently wrong with it.
Did the Lord change?
So it slowly started. So there was a small group that thought it was wrong and started praying for change. Then more people, and then as society changed, and a lot of members of the church were like, "This is wrong." Then there was finally a revelation, and then the church went with like the majority, because there were so many people in the church was like, yeah, we really have to change this.
Right. But there
then
were still
there's always
people that were
these people
PO.
lagging behind.
There were still people that were
and that's
PO.
the same thing that is happening here.
It really is.
Because it's like there's people now that are like, yes, prejudice is wrong, trying to take away other people's civil rights or civil equality is wrong, and you listen to the church slowly change and become more and more open, and now, I mean, things just slowly changing, but then you still have these people that are lagging behind even the church, who are
right
more prejudiced than even your leaders.
Right.
Because they're not even saying that it's a choice anymore.
They're not. They're saying
And to go from reparative therapy to that is a huge
It is. They're not telling people anymore to go get married. They're saying it's not a way to solve your homosexual tendencies, you know? I mean, they're still calling it same-sex attraction. They're not calling it gay, because to call it gay makes it seem more unchangeable, whereas same-sex attraction, there's still some ground there to play with, you know? So there are definitely still some rhetoric that I think exists in the church that they are continuing to use that does make it more ambiguous, because I don't think they've ever come out and actually said it's not a choice. I don't. I do think that they've definitely softened the way they're talking about how people should try to change it. They're not talking so much about how people should try to change it, and that is a huge difference. But again, you know, it's like,
you know what also helps, I mean, makes it more clear to me that this is all about prejudice, is people who really are arguing against equality for everyone are people who don't have openly gay people in their life.
yeah,
It's like, or you don't know a happily married gay couple.
right.
Or you don't even know any
Or
gay
if you
couple.
do, you assume that they're
Right, I was
lying
like,
and
well,
they're not happy.
if you think that it's bad or whatever, or that it's degrading or hurting you in some way, or that they're bad people, have you ever taken the time to go meet a gay couple?
You know,
have you seen their marriages? Like I have, and they seem really great, and you know, they're people who fight for their marriage and that they want to be together, and it's not put on them by society. There's no expectation for them to get married.
They're not like, I'm going to be an old maid if
they
I don't
want
get
to
married.
because they're in love and blah blah blah. All these reasons, but it's like all you have to do. And who do you know in your life that's gay? I mean, when I did my little coming out letter, you know, I wrote to my family. I don't know what you've been told or what your beliefs are, but I think you know that I've always been gay. And most mothers, when they say, oh yeah, I knew you were gay from the time you were 3 or the time you were 4 and blah, 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 blah. Well, there you have it. I mean, it's not a choice. Even your parents can tell.
Right.
It's like, if you know someone who's gay, if you know people who are gay, that kind of idea melts away. Because I have met people, I mean, it's like the Wanda Sykes thing or whoever makes the jokes, Margaret Cho. Where she has, clearly, you had no choice. You meet someone that you're like, clearly they had no say in this. Because they are so gay, and there's absolutely, you know that they can be no other way. I've met people that are so, you know, stereotypically gay, but you just, because of the way they are, you're like, I know there's no way that they could be different.
Right.
It's like them, from the time they could walk.
Yeah.
You just like, that's who they were. and to think like, oh, well, they could just
They could
morph
just turn it
into
around.
something else or someone else.
And I think the one thing that does distinguish it from race, I will say this, is that I think the issue of bisexuality is what makes the gay issue more complicated.
Because there are bisexuals.
Because there are.
And a lot of people don't believe in bisexuality.
And
but I know
Carolyn Pearson in No More Goodbyes talks about how she feels that a lot of church leaders trying to help these gay brothers and sisters who are coming in to say, you know, I have this problem. She feels like, you know, a lot of church leaders were probably maybe experienced certain degrees of bisexuality in their own personal sexuality. And they're like, I can tell you for a fact that you can make this work. Because they're more in the middle of the scale of sexuality. They're
Right.
more able to
There's a spectrum.
There's a spectrum. They're more in the middle, and so they were able to actually overcome their homosexual feelings and have a very healthy, fulfilling relationship with someone of the opposite gender. Whereas, you know, Dawn and I don't think you consider yourself bisexual. I certainly don't.
I'm not.
I never have. I'm just a gay. Like, I was a gay the second I came out. I mean, that's just, there's no other way. And anyone who knows me will attest to this, you know? And it's not about the flamboyant. It's not. It's just about, it's just about my sexuality. Like, it is what it is. And as I've grown older, it's just become more and more clear to me that this is just the way that God made me. And if I tried to change it, I would be like trying to change my skin color. It would be that frustrating of an endeavor and that impossible of one.
And as far as like, I think it would be so helpful because this channel, More Men Like Me, that was started because of the suicide thing, I think so many lives could have been saved if people would have just been like, okay, my son is gay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to make sure they have support as they grow up, that they have role models, that they have people to talk to that they can relate to as a gay person growing up, instead of putting them in this isolated area where everything's a problem and there's something
that
wrong
it will
with
somehow
that.
evaporate out of them.
I'd be like,
in the
you know how
process.
much problem I could have avoided, or bad situations I could have stayed out of, or all these things that could have been avoided if I would have had somebody that knew about what they were talking about, that could have talked to me about it. If I would have had some kind of mentor or somebody who was older that was gay, that was
a gay married couple, for instance.
Or even just somebody that was out and accepted in the family that could have said, okay, now this is what you're going to go through, this is what you're going to face.
Right.
Don't think about killing yourself. Don't think about all these horrible things.
Because you don't need to. Because look, there's a path for you. There's somewhere you can go that's good. And that's, you know, I think that's what Dawn's channel is
And if
devoted
there's
to.
nobody to turn to.
Right.
And so people can find themselves in really bad situations.